Guys, one of my favorite days of the year is today. Every year, I'm lucky enough to be part of the Proven Grounds, get the new Mathews bow early. And that's what came today, is the new Mathews bow. The new Lift X, I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it's got a really cool tuning feature that we're gonna get into in a minute, but I can't wait to get this thing open, set it up. We start hunting in a week, and we don't have a lot of time to build confidence in this thing, but it normally doesn't take too long. Let's get in the shop, open this bad boy up. All right guys, in this box, we have the new Lift X. I'm gonna get it out today and put it together. I have all my stuff. I got my rest, the QAD Integrate. Love this rest, it's the one I'm putting on it. My picture's even in there. Not cool enough to be on the outside like Lee and Tiffany, but I did get on the inside flap if you get that far and open it up. So thank you, Kevin, and all the guys at QAD. I'm gonna run side plates as usual. The new tactical landslide from Excel, I'm gonna run. I already kind of got it put together a little bit. I'm running a 5-pin on a mover, all 10 thou fibers. I am going to run a 15-inch front bar and a 10 on the back. So those are all the main things, and I also have 24 LRPs I gotta build in the Ultra 166 Premiers. So we got a lot of work to do, but let's get this bow out of the box and take a look at it. Do this and leave everything else in here. Oh, I already see. Got all my accessories in another box, but I already see this sweet tuning feature on this thing right there. I'm pretty sure, so this thing is super light. It's really, this is the 33, and I love this color. It's really a lift with a really cool tuning feature on it, pretty much. So I've got an 80 pounder, 80 pounds, 31-inch draw. This thing is going to be moving some speed, kinetic energy, no doubt. I'm really interested to break into this tuning feature in a little bit and see how it works. So pretty much getting rid of the top hat system. And it's just going off of a drive in here. So this is completely locked down. Loosen this, take this bolt off right here, and which is normally to hold your axles in and still does, but then there's another Allen head in here, I believe, that will turn and move this top cam in and out, similar to what we used to do with top hats, except now we don't have to put it in a press even. We just take that. If we need the cam to go right, which you always move the cam, well, 99% of the time, you move your cam towards your tear. You get a right tear, you want to move your cam to the right. You get a left tear, you want to move it to the left. So we'll see how much play we have, see how that works. I normally don't have too much issues getting my stuff to tune from Mathews. So, however, I don't normally shoot 80 pounds. But I just figured, why not, you know? Cam Haynes kind of said that, and it made a lot of sense to me. He's like, a lot of people wonder why I shoot so much poundage, and I say, why not? If you can do it, do it. And I agree with him. Nowadays on these bows, 80 pounds feels like the old 70. So if I can push more speed, more kinetic energy downrange, why wouldn't I? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set it up, start bolting some stuff on it. First impressions, I loved the lift day one. So obviously the Lift X being very similar to the Lift. I love it already. We got to get some arrows through it though. That can change. Sometimes you get bows with bad attitudes. You gotta get it out before you go take it hunting. So let's start bolting some stuff on it. All right, guys, I am now at the press with my bow. About to put, I'm going to put my knocking loop in first. So I did a video a couple years ago on how I was putting my knocking loop dead center of my cams, dead center of my axles. Because in my mind, that would be the most accurate, and I still believe that if you could get it to hold great, that would be the most accurate spot for your knock to be, because you would have even tension from your bottom cam to your top cam. However, me personally, over the last couple of years of playing around, Garrett Ayersman down at Sportsman's Refuge kind of turned me on to this too, about moving my knocking loop up. I was having trouble with my pin wanting to be low all the time, and playing around with weights on stabilizers and everything. And I kind of knew this from a long time ago and just got away from it, but he got me inching my knocking loop up ever so slightly, and it made such a huge difference for me being able to aim in the center, and not want that pin not want to be low all the time, as well as you can time the bow, the top cam a little ahead of the bottom cam if you have trouble with that too. So there's a couple different things you can do. However, you want your bow in perfect time, ideally. You don't want anything ahead of anything. And ideally, I would like my knocking loop or the knock of my air to be as close to the center between my axles as possible. So I have just figured out with my other lift and all my competition bows, that it likes to be about a 16th. Like, that's where it aims the best for me, a 16th above center. So that's where I'm going to start with this one today. I'm just getting this knocking loop. This is the Spectra. Really good stuff, but it doesn't mushroom out easy. So you have to really make sure you don't just burn a little ball on the end of this thing, because it can pull through. It's the best knocking loop material in the world, in my opinion. You got to be very careful. Everybody kind of overlooks this kind of stuff, but you got to be very careful what knocking loop material you put on. If you put on a really stiff, rigid knocking loop, any kind of torque you put in with your hand, you're going to see it in your bow, because that knocking loop's not going to have the flexibility or the give it needs to have. So this stuff's really soft and really tough, and I've had good luck with it competing and hunting for years now. So let's set this off to the side. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. So I measure from the center of the axle, like Allen head. So the little screws that hold the axle in. I take the corner of my tape, I put it in one Allen head on it, and I go to the measure here, and that's how I find it from both sides. Now you have to be careful when it's in the press, because if there's any tension on this, it can expand these, or it can decompress these limbs, and you don't get an accurate measurement. So make sure this bow is loose in the press, so it's not going to fall out, but the press isn't actually pressing those limbs when you make this measurement. So I like to put it in and then take these little hand tighteners and loosen them until I can slide this back and forth, and I know that that bow is not getting pressed. So let's start and find exactly. So here's what I'm going to do. I tie my top one in loose, that way I can slide it back and forth. Just like that. Not going to do another video on tying a knocking loop in. There's plenty of those out there, and I've done them myself. However, be careful on who you watch, because there's a couple out there that are wrong. So let's find a knock right here. I think I already got one built, yeah. So I take the knock that I'm going to use, and I'm going to click that on the string here. Let's put that up just to have it in there. So then I take and measure from this hole to the center of the knock, just eyeballing it. That's like 16 and 5/8 heavy. Then I come from the bottom one, and that's 16 and 13/16. So I need to come down to about 3/4 there, I think. Okay, let's try that again. So from the top, it is 16 and 3/4 light. And this is 16 3/4 light. So there, it's dead in the middle right there. So I need to move it up about a 1/16 of an inch right there. So yeah, there we go. 16 and 15, 14, 13, 12, 11 sixteenths. Sorry, I had to count backwards. A little rusty. And 16 3/4 heavy. So that's about right. So maybe just a bump back, but that's about right. A little over a 1/16. So that's where we're going to start. Now I'm going to tighten that up with my hand a little bit so it doesn't move. Now I'm going to tie my under knot. I don't tie one above, I just tie it below. So I do a little soft knot here, then I'll finish tying this. It puts up pressure on that knock, keeps any kind of knock pinch from happening, keeping that from lifting up. So I'm going to do that now. So I start away from the arrow and just tie overhand knots back to it. Probably a fancier way. This is just the way I do it. So start about 1/8 of an inch at the most away. You don't have to tighten these down into your serving, just good snug knots, all right, on top of each other. And then all the way up to your knock. You don't want to like pinch your knock to where it pushes the top knocking loop away, but just where it touches it. Just like that. That's actually perfect. No play, but it's not too tight on it. So then you work back down over those knots. So you have one row of knots, then I come back over top of itself, down in the grooves, the spaces between the serving. And do that again. And I'll tie off the last one here on the bottom. So I tied knots towards the knock, and then I overlapped and came back across itself. So now I've tied one overhand loop. I'm going to put a drop of glue right there on between that. Then I'm going to tie another knot into it, cut it, burn it. We'll be good to go. So I'll take a little bit of tack glue. I'm just going to put a tiny drop right there. That's enough. Then I tie the last knot over top of that, and it really keeps this from coming undone. So I tie that knot into that glue, tighten it up, let it dry for a second, then I'm going to cut it, burn it, and we'll have our under knot. So I'm going to cut this here about that far, cut this right there, and then burn that back in right there, like that. Burn it back in like that, right there. Okay, so now I just want to make sure I have the right length. I just do this on feel. Some people measure it. I'm gonna do this about that right there, cut it off. I do not like to burn these, tie them in and then burn them, because it weakens and compromises the strength of these when you heat them up on the side like that. So I'm gonna do this the same way. I measured it, cut it, and now I'm gonna take, and where's my pliers? I'm gonna do the same thing I did to the other end. I'm gonna make sure it gets mushroomed out really nice and not just a ball. Make sure it's not gonna pull through. This is something you do not wanna get in a hurry on, because this is very important. So I'll burn it a couple times, turning it, pulling it up. I'm putting on a little pressure from the back side there too. So now I have a really nice, I don't know if you can see that, but I have a really nice like catch. So when I tie this, it's going to catch on itself. So I'm going to go on the opposite side of the string, put this up through itself right there, pull it tight. There we go. Then take these pliers, stretch that in, make sure the knots are good. There we go. So there's our knocking loop. It's about perfect. Possibly a little long. I might have to come back later and shorten that a little bit, but we'll see. So now let's get this peep put in here. So I'm gonna go with the, let me see here. Grab this. The Hamsky Raptor Peep 3/16. That's the size I like to run when I'm hunting. So throw this over here. This little thing right here is the center of the string. So if you have a one color string, you do not want to pull that out. I leave it in. I'm going to be close to 5.5 here. So let's pull this down. We're just going to get it close for now. From the middle, that's pretty close. So I'm going to put a little dot here just so I can be close. Now, we're going to press this sucker, make sure everything is good on both ends. Another thing you do not want to get in a hurry on. And so now I'm going to put this peep in. Just like that, slide it to the spot, back out. Perfect. Never know how that's going to work, so then I'll just slide that up and leave it in the string. So now, got to turn that back a little bit. It should be perfect right there. Make sure my knock fits in there still. Yep, perfect. Dang, that went pretty smooth. I don't know if that's where the peep needs to be, but I hope it's really close. So there's that. What else we need? Oh, I gotta put this through. So let's press it again. We're gonna put our cable, or our drop away cable back through. So I'm gonna go to the center right here. Right there it is. We're gonna come in from the side the thing is on. Back out, just like that, and then we will get that set here in just a second. But I think that's everything I need to do right now in the press. I've got the peep in, the knock and loop on, still got to fine tune that a little bit. I've got this through the center of that cable, butted up against the serving like I talked about a second ago, and I'll get that measured out and done right. But once I get this, I'm going to get my release here in a second, pull back, get this set, and then we're going to put the bars on and start shooting. So, here, I can just do it this way. Let's get, okay, yeah, this one's good. So I'm going to pull this back, get the, oh, the peep's really close. Draw length feels good. 80 pounds feels good. All right. I'm gonna do that one more time here. I'm gonna pull back. What I'm watching for, when this raises, hits that stop, so you can see there's a line on the back of this. When it raises and hits that, I want to still have about 2 inches of draw left when I pull that back. So that's what I'm watching for. So it hits the stop right there, and I've still got, it's a little too much probably. Right there, boom, that's about right. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is take this arrow back off, and I'm going to put this back in just temporarily. I'm not going to press it, just to hold it. You can see here, I left a little bit sticking out. I'm going to pull that through with these pliers, just like this. Grab it, pull it through, and I'm going to do the same thing like I did on my rest with that. I left about 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch so that I could mushroom this out again. and then flatten it. This stuff's a lot easier to work with than that Spectra. So keep flattening it out. Make a good thick wall right there so it doesn't pull through easy. Keep burning it and flattening it. Make that ledge thick. And then before you pull it tight, let that dry for, or cool for a couple minutes. And then pull it. I'll pull it close, but I'm not going to pull it all the way through. So, or all the way to the string yet, where I put a ton of tension on it. You can pull it too, but don't like try to pull it back for 30 seconds or so. Let it mold to the string right there. Keep that ledge. And then we'll check that one more time in a second. So really, I'm pretty pumped with where my peep's at for now. I'm gonna set it fine tuning outside when I get, I wanna set my peep height normally at about 40, 50 yards. Like kind of in the dead middle of where my shots are gonna be. If I'm gonna shoot from 0 to 100, I wanna set it at like 50. So it's perfect at 50, so it's not super. If I set it at 20, once I get to 80, it's gonna be like extremely uncomfortable. So I like to set it kind of dead in the middle of where I'm gonna be. I'm really curious to see where this hits with this LRP. So, you know what I'm gonna do, guys? Because I've had bad experiences in the past. I'm gonna put one loop around this peep so it doesn't fly out while I'm tuning here. Just a little wrap. Real quick. So I'm gonna go around it like this. And then just tie a knot off. That way it doesn't fly out of my string. And put my eye out while I'm tuning. So get that right over here. Tighten that up. And then we're gonna cut it and burn it. I'm not gonna glue it or anything like that. Just burn it where it doesn't pull through. And now I can go fine tune. Don't want to get close to that. Fine tune everything without having to worry about my peep flying out. So now I think I want to put my bars on, get those weighted right, and we're going to shoot it through paper, see what happens. This is 80 pounds, 31 inches, 545 grain arrow. Keep your fingers crossed. See what we do through paper here. You got to be kidding me. Absolute perfect bullet hole. And guys, this is, that's probably the hardest on paper setup. 31 inches, 80 pounds, with a 545 grain arrow. Those ultras are tough, I'm telling you, because any other, even in a 250 spine, that spec is very finicky. So, like with other arrows at a 250 spine, that would have never tuned. These things are that beefy, a little heavier, yes, but I can shoot a 545 grain arrow, 80 pounds, perfect bullet hole. And let's see how fast our 545 grain arrow is shooting. Let's do this. Sure, I mean, I could shoot a 420 grain arrow out of this setup at like 320 probably. But I really like this. Let's see. Almost 290, 288. So we're shooting a 500 grain arrow, 545 grain arrow, 80 pounds. $288. That's a pretty smoking setup. I don't know what kinetic energy that is. I'll have to figure that out. Not that it really matters. I would love to have it at 300 feet a second and about a 500 grain arrow. Ideally, that would be like the perfect scenario for every animal in the world. However, I would shoot it at 300 foot a second with a 400 grain arrow and go elk hunting with it still. This is just where we end up with the LRPs. It's a heavy setup, and the ultras are heavier too. So we're at 545 grains, the heaviest arrow I've ever shot in my life. And we're at 288 feet a second, almost 290 feet a second. So I'm not super upset with that speed at all. I mean, especially considering how heavy my arrow is. And this, that's insane. That's insane. So now all we got to do, we know how fast it is. The bow's tuned. We just got to get outside, see how it groups. We got to build some of these arrows. So I'm going to cut them off. I built one, so I'll show you here what it weighs, just so you guys believe me. Right here is the scale. Right here, weight on it. Here, 545 grains, 0.4. So let's get outside, get some of these LRPs built, get outside, see how this thing groups. It tunes so easy. Really impressed so far, really impressed. All right guys, we are back on the range. Sun's going down. It was so windy earlier I couldn't really shoot out here, so I'm kind of sighted in out to 60, shooting this left elk right now. Trying to see how this lift X will group and shoot a little bit longer distance. If we have time before it gets too dark, if I feel good about 60, maybe we'll throw one a little bit longer. But first, let's see if we can put 3 good ones in that, that left elk at 60 yards. There's one really good one, I think. It felt good anyway. That knock didn't light up too much, but yup, it's a good one. Yeah, these knocks, I can't, these, they're not gonna stay lit. They're brand new too, so we'll see. That felt really good. I don't know exactly where. Yeah, those are all right there. So let's go down and have a look. The 80-pound Lift X is money. Obviously, still got a lot to do with it. Just fine tuning and stuff, but you can see that's 3 shots at 60 that you guys just watched. So that's on the little mini elk. But man, I mean, what is that? Probably 3 fingers wide. Not bad. Not bad at all for a hunting rig. That's pretty insane. That's hard to do with any tournament rig, to be honest. So honestly, I think we got enough light. Maybe we throw one even further down there. See what we can do at maybe 100. Let's go. All right, guys, I am running out of light pretty quick here, but I am gonna try to shoot 100 yards here and see where it goes. I'm guessing on my tape just a little bit. I just pulled those at 60, rolled it down to 100. I think this tape is close, but we are gonna fling one on this caribou and see what happens. Kind of getting so dark it's hard to see that caribou as far as like where the kill shot is, but we're gonna try it. Well, I would say that'll work. You couldn't stick that in there any better. Good grief. No way I can do it 2 in a row. I could barely see anything. I don't even know where that went. Oh my gosh, guys. It's like an inch from the other one. Definitely pushing my luck now. I kind of fired weak. Don't see it, but it broke low. So honestly, the first 2 broke extremely good, and they're like an inch apart, like dead nuts in the heart. So loving, loving, loving the lift X. About to wrap it up here with the lift X. We just shot a group at 100, the first group out of the bow at 100, really just kind of guessing on the tape. The first one was a money shot. It went like, you couldn't stick it any better. And then I broke the second one and literally right on that lighted knock, and looked through my binos, it looked like it was like an inch beside it. And then the last one, of course, trying to hit 3 in a row in a inch group at 100 is not easy, and I didn't do it. I didn't make a great shot on the third one. Luckily, that first one's the one that counts. I'm not even sure where the third one went. Oh yeah, right where it should be. Almost missed the whole target low. But definitely wasn't the bow's fault. These first 2, money. Literally right beside each other. Probably hitting, like I said, the tape is not perfect, so probably hitting a yard low at 100. And then fired that one just a little weak, and that's what happened. It's about the width of my hand under the other 2, which is about a tiny mistake at 100. 100 yards shows you, it makes you such a better archer, long distance shooting. So honestly, all in all, I am so pumped with this lift X. Just having it for a day, setting it up this morning, coming out here, shooting a few arrows through it, getting the sight tape close. I feel like I'm probably 1 number off on my sight tape. But yeah, what a great night. What a great day. I literally have enough confidence in this thing. I feel like I could take it hunting tomorrow and feel like I honestly would be picking up right where I left off last year. This thing is sweet, tuned so easy. So far, so good, guys. The lift X seems like a winner after day 1, but we got a whole hunting season to test it out. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like what you see here, please subscribe, hit that like button. We're trying to do a ton of stuff on YouTube. It really helps us if you subscribe and like our stuff. So, and somebody build a good lighted knock. Can't get these suckers to stay on. Anyway, see you guys.